Okay, let's get started now. So I just wanted to do a little bit of a recap. Um, Vindhyavali Mataji, if you're saying something, then please type because it distracts me if you're talking. Because I see on the panel, it seems to me that you're saying something. Okay, yeah. All right. So I just want to do a little bit of a recap on chapter number 2. And I mean, not just the verse that we did yesterday, but also a little bit prior to that, right? And because Krishna had asked a question and Krishna is answering him. And this is the last piece that we're going to do today is the last piece of the answer that he's giving. So I'm bringing up chapter number 2 here. And so let's see. I think it was somewhere around the 50th verse that he says that. So after telling him about the Atma, Krishna also tells him about the duties and what are the things that one can get, even if one focus on karma kandi activities, then he says that it's better to be focusing on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and so on and so forth. And then he says that this is the prime verse here. He says that when your mind is no longer disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas, and when it remains fixed in the trance of self-realization, then you will have attained the divine consciousness. Arjuna said, "Oh Krishna, what are the symptoms?" So this is the important question. What are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus merged in transcendence? How does he speak and what is his language? How does he sit and how does he walk? So he wanted to know that if a person is, beyond the modes of material nature and has gone to a higher level. And we have spent quite a bit of time going over the modes of material nature, right? Chapter 14 and 16, and then a little bit, and then 17, a lot, divisions of faith based on the modes of material nature. And then Krishna starts explaining to him, you have to give up all varieties of desire for sense gratification. This is basically material sense gratification. And then even if you have got threefold miseries, you don't get disturbed, so you're very balanced in your mind, right? Whether you get good or evil, you just take it as something coming from Krishna, and neither you praise it nor you despise it, right? So when you reach that particular stage, and then of course we read about that the senses create a havoc in our life. And he says that as a tortoise draws his limbs within the shell, we should also learn how to withdraw our senses. And we talked a little bit about the senses yesterday. And then here, after telling him to do this, he then points out a flaw there in this approach. And he said that, even if you may restrict yourself from sense enjoyment, but the taste will still remain. And so it's the taste that has to be replaced by a higher taste. And which is, you will get that higher taste when you connect with Krishna. And then he gives a warning here that, these senses you are trying to battle, you're picking up a battle there, but they're very strong and impetuous. And even if you are trying to control them, and this was one of the concerns that Sadhana Mataji had yesterday, and she asked that it seems like a very difficult path when you see even such exalted personalities as Shiva could, fall and get under the influence of tamas like that, right? And then, so he said that this is going to happen, right? But then, so what you have to do is, you have to restrain your senses. Not only that, you have to also keep them under full control. And that control will come only when you fix your mind upon the Lord. And that is why when we are doing devotional service to the Lord, here we are told to do the four allegorative principles, which are, don't, and don't. So the four don'ts that we have. But in addition to that, right, where you're trying to do the don'ts, the taste for them is still going to remain in us. So in addition to the don'ts, we also have that you should chant at least 16 rounds. You should read Srila Prabhupada's books every day, right? So that is those are the activities that connect you to the divinity, and which will help you give up the lower desires and the lower habits and the lower tastes that we are battling with all the time, right? And then, of course, we read yesterday, while contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them. And from such attachment, lust develops. And when that lust is not fulfilled, then from lust, anger arises. Okay. So we are going on the pathway to a fall down. So we have just crossed half of the way, covered half of the way, that we are now angry, right? Anger has arisen. And so in today's text, we are going to go over what happens when anger arises in us. Go. So Krishna says, Krodhat bhavati sammohaha, sammohat smriti vibramaha, smriti bhramshat buddhi nasho, buddhi nashat pranashyati. Krodhat, from anger. Bhavati, takes place. Sammoha, perfect illusion. Sammohat, from illusion. Smriti, of memory. Vibramaha, bewilderment. Smriti Bhramsha, after bewilderment of memory. Buddhi Nasha, loss of intelligence. Buddhi Nashat, from the loss of intelligence. Pranashyati, one falls down. Okay. So keywords here is krodhat, anger, or from anger. Krodh is anger, krodhat is from anger. Second one is sammoha, not just moha, sammoha, perfect illusion. Then smriti is memory, vibhrama, bewilderment. Smriti bharmsa, then buddhi nasha is the next keyword, loss of intelligence. And after that, the next keyword is pranashyati, fall down. So krodhat, sammoha, smriti, vibhrama, buddhinasha, pranashyati, is falling down. Okay, and let's see the translations by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. From anger, complete delusion arises. And from delusion, bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. And when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool. So here is the rest of the journey to the downfall of the soul who is endeavoring to do devotional service. From anger, complete delusion arises. From delusion, bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, then intelligence is lost. So from anger, delusion, from delusion, memory is bewildered. And then intelligence is lost. And then one falls down again into the material pool. So these are the 5 steps that they're saying. First, you are angry, then you are deluded, then your memory is bewildered, then intelligence is lost, and then you fall down into the material pool. Okay, so now let's see how far your memory is going to take you. Why don't you give us the steps, the 5 steps that we talked about? And I'll give you a hint. The first step is you are angry. So type it out on your chat box here. When anger arises, okay, I'm getting part answers, and that's okay. I'll take the big one. When anger arises, delusion arises, then memory is bewildered. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost, and one falls into the material pool. Very good answer, Archana Mataji. Bewilderment, loss of memory. Yeah. Okay, sadhana, anger, delusion, bewilderment, memory, intelligence gone, and then the fall down says sadhana Mataji. Perfect. Okay, good. So let's go now and see what Prabhupada has to tell us in the purpose to this chapter, and to this verse. And let's start sharing the screen again with you. Okay, so coming up, purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Rupa Goswami has given us this direction. Prapanchikataya buddhya hari sambandhi vastuna mumukshubhihi parityago vairagyam falgu katyate. So this is from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.258, which is the original nectar of the ocean of nectar, or nectar of the ocean, which is Prabhupada translated the summary of that. So it's the ocean of the nectar of bhakti. By development of Krishna consciousness, one can know that everything has its use in the service of the Lord. Those who are without knowledge of Krishna consciousness artificially try to avoid material objects, and as a result, although they desire liberation from material bondage, they do not attain to the perfect stage of renunciation. Their so-called renunciation is called falgu, or less important. On the other hand, a person in Krishna consciousness knows how to use everything in the service of the Lord. Therefore, he does not become a victim of material consciousness. For example, for an impersonalist, the Lord or the Absolute, being impersonal, cannot eat. Whereas an impersonalist tries to avoid good eatables, a devotee knows that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer and that he eats all that is offered to him in devotion. So, after offering good eatables to the Lord, the devotee takes the remnants called prasadam. Thus, everything becomes spiritualized and there is no danger of a downfall. Everything becomes spiritualized and there is no danger of a downfall. The devotee takes prasadam in Krishna consciousness, whereas the non devotee rejects it as material. The impersonalist, therefore, cannot enjoy life due to his artificial renunciation, and for this reason, a slight agitation of the mind pulls him down again into the pool of material existence. It is said that such a soul, even though rising up to the point of liberation, falls down again due to his not having support in devotional service. Om Agyanatimarandasya Gyananjan Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Okay, so let's go a little bit deeper into this. So obviously, this situation that Krishna has described is not the situation of the Sthita Prajna that Arjuna was asking about, right? Arjuna was, what's the position? How does he sit? Asit, how is he situated, right? So obviously, this is not where we want to be situated, in anger and bewilderment and delusion and all those kinds of things like that there, right? So anger is definitely something that just overpowers us. And it is just right there. Like we say, he's the younger brother of Kama. Kama comes, not fulfilled, immediate anger. And it is so quick to arise in ourselves. And when we get angry, and let's be honest here, has there ever been a situation in your life that you got angry and you said something that you regretted later? Yes or no on the text pad, please. Let's see how many ever got angry. Sadhana Mataji gave an immediate yes. So did Simi Mataji. And Sutapa said, yes, all right, like an iPhone many times. Yes. So now imagine that if somebody had an iPhone, the one you were getting angry at, they had an iPhone and they were recording all that. If they recorded all that and they played it back to you, you would not agree, you would not believe that you could say such things. So this is the power of anger. And there's a very beautiful poetry in Hindi that I grew up, um, which was describing the anger um, of a person. And it says, Uskal, and I will translate that for those of you who don't understand Hindi. Uskal mare krodh ke, tanu kaapne unka laga, mano hawa ke जोर से सोता हुआ सागर जगा, मुख बाल रवि समलाल होकर काल सा बोधित हुआ, प्रलयात उनके मिस यहाँ क्या काल ही क्रोधित हुआ. So this is explaining the situation of our dear Arjuna. When Arjuna hears that his son Abhimanyu has been killed mercilessly, unarmed, by not one person, but by many, many persons who surrounded him and killed him. So when he heard that at that time, Uskal, Mare Krodh ke, Tan kaapne unka laga. He was so angry that his whole body started shaking. So you see, it's the same Arjuna whose body was shaking. Gandivam samsrate hasta traktacha paridahyate. In first chapter, he's saying that my hands are, veputushya sharire me roma harshasya jayate. My limbs are getting, all that. Sindanti mama gatrani. So he's talking about, his body is shaking, my senses are drying up, so on and so forth. But that was not from anger. But here, from anger, his whole body is shaking. Tanu kaapne unka laga, mano hawa ke jor se sota hua sagar jaga. So like, there's a calm ocean is there, and then a hurricane sweeps over it, and then what happens to the ocean, right? The waves start to rise on top of it, right? So similarly, Arjuna, that was his reaction, was calm and quiet, and then it's like, what? They killed Arjuna, and then, he's angry, like that. So then what happens? Mukh bal ravi samlal hokar. So his face became red. Like what red? Bal and Ravi. What's the meaning of Ravi? Anybody knows what is Ravi? You have to type. Speaking doesn't help. I'm looking here. Yes, Ravi means sun. So Bal Ravi, Bal means what? What is Bal? Baby. Yes, Bal Vivaha, right? Balak, right? Balkand. Bal is small and young. So what is the color of a young sun? Sun that is just rising. It says red in color. So his face become red like a sun that is rising. Mukbal ravi samlal hokar काल सा बोधित हुआ प्रलयात उनके मिस यहाँ क्या काल ही क्रोधित हुआ. So he's just saying that his anger was so intense that he's saying that in order to bring on the devastation pralayat for the earth, for the reason of causing pralay, devastation, Kal hi krodit hua. So Kal itself, Kal is the time which destroys everything over a period of time. So because of that, when this time gets angry, so he's saying that, for the purposes of destruction, did Kal himself get angry in the form of Arjuna? And then, of course, we know the rest is history. So this is the effect that anger has on us. And when anger comes, we have got many ways in how we can handle it. And I had covered that a month or so ago. So there are ways that you can do it. One is to express it. And before that, you have to make sure everybody switches off their cell phones, right? Because you don't want them to be recording it. And the other way is to suppress it. And if you suppress it, it's a dangerous thing because it'll burst out someday, maybe on the wrong person and at the wrong time, or at the same person but at the wrong time. Or maybe by adding it up so much of, keeping it suppressed in your body, when it comes out, it'll come out, the effect will be many, many, many fold, right? Like that. So express it, suppress it, but what we recommend is that you process it. It's very, very important to process. So when these waves of anger are coming over you, we should take a deep breath and then contemplate. Why is that person? First and foremost is observe. Observe your body reactions. Observe how the heart is getting constricted, the breath is coming faster, there's something happening in your stomach, and maybe, mano hawa ke jor se sota hua sagar jaga, maybe your body is also shaking from anger, like that. So observe that and remember that you are devotees of the Lord, and anger is a wasted emotion. It doesn't do any good. It harms only you, right? So observe yourself first, and remember, Krishna says, when he's defining all the devotees of the Lord, he says that yasmano dujite loko lokano dujite chayaha harsham harshibhayo dvege mukto yasa same priyaha. So nobody can agitate a devotee, and a devotee never agitates anybody. So when you see, first observe the marks of agitation in yourself. What is happening? Mouth is getting dry. You're ready to say something. Remember, remembrance is required. Remember, and it'll come from practice. Remember, we are devotees. We're not supposed to do that. Okay? And then in this processing, also go and look at the other person, or think about other person, contemplate and think that, why is this person behaving like that? Why would somebody say like that? Why would my best friend suddenly turn and say, talk to me in a loud voice? Why are they behaving like that? And then maybe you realize that you were wrong, but the ego is not allowing you to accept it. Okay, let it be. Sleep over it. The next day you'll feel better. Or maybe the other person did something wrong. Now, at that time, if you start telling them what they're doing wrong, then their anger is only going to increase. They might not be in a position to listen. And, or if they are in an inferior position to you, right, socially, then they might agree, but then they will say yes, and they'll do a but. So there are yes but, yes but, yes but kind of a conversation will happen, where they are saying, yeah, yes, I know I shouldn't have done that, but yada 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 yada. So you learn how to catch such patterns when people communicate with you. The yes but people are not agreeing with you. So why even have that conversation with them? It's a wasted thing, right? So we have to control our own urge to speak at that time. And if at all they did something which you didn't like, and suppose when the person has agitated you, the person might not be there in front of you. The person could have written you a WhatsApp message, person could have written you an email message, right? So in either case, your anger or your ideas or your thoughts have to manifest themselves, otherwise they will just keep churning in your head, right? And multiply. So better is to let them manifest, but not on the person in front of you, or the person who offended you. In 99% of the cases, what you can do is you can manifest it someplace else, either on a piece of paper, or write that email to them, but never send it. Right? Or if you're angry, write down your thoughts in a piece of paper, and then shred it. Just by making it manifest, just by making your thoughts manifest on a piece of paper, you will start to feel good, and you'll be in a better mood to forgive them, or to handle that situation in a proper manner, like that. Okay. And the next day you might go and read your email, and then you might say, oh, I don't think I should write that. I should write that. Sometimes it's also good to have a confidant with you, and you can run that email or that situation by them and say, like, this is what is happening, this is what my reaction is, how should I handle this one, right? And that is why we read about that in Nectar of Devotion, that there are 6 items that increase your devotional service, and a pair of them was guhyam akhyati prichyati, that ask in confidence and hear in confidence. And so asking in confidence, this is a classic place of asking in confidence, where you are somebody's behavior is bothering you, then you go and talk to somebody who's more senior than you and say that this is what is happening, what is wrong, and they will give you advice. They'll give you honest advice. They might, maybe we are in the wrong, or maybe the other person is wrong, and they might guide you on how to handle that situation. Okay, so we have to keep that in mind. And then you'd have noticed that some people are very quick to get angry, and then some people it takes a long time for them to agitate. So this comes from the samskaras which are etched in our mind, and everything that we watch, we do, we hear, all that gets etched in our memory and or in our mind. And then what happens is that for every action, as we live our lives decade upon decade, all these impressions start to become stronger and stronger in the mind, and you sort of start to have a default action for every stimulus that your mind gets. Anything that stimulates from the outside, you know, like some people might just slap. Somebody says something, they just slap. Somebody might just walk away like that. Somebody might, say something offensive. That is what they do, right? So there's a very well saying that says that, and we saw that this anger that started yesterday in the yesterday's verse is now taking us to the complete fall down in the end. So anger can destroy you completely. And they say that, if God wants to destroy somebody, he just makes him angry. And this anger is so bad. The anger is so bad because what anger leads you is that it takes you into perfect illusion, right? Not just illusion. Give me an example of illusion on the pad. Oh, you are good. Yes, yes, good. So sinking rope for a snake, or seeing water on the mirage, or I see water even on the roads of Foster City on summers. You're driving and you see there's water in that road. And you come there, there's no water over there, right? So this is illusion. So and then here they're talking about perfect illusion, right? It says not moha, it said sammoha. You remember I had pointed out when we were doing the verse that the word is sammoha. So sammoha is perfect, it's everywhere. This illusion will pervade everything when you get angry. There's nothing, you just think that whatever you're doing, whatever you're saying is absolutely, absolutely the right thing, right? And so when you reach that stage, then your memory gets bewildered. And that's a very, very dangerous situation to be in. So, what does it mean that my memory gets bewildered? I don't forget the person who's in front of me. I don't forget, for that matter, what he or she said or did. And actually, I won't even forget it for 20 decades later if I live that long. So I'm not going to forget all of that. So what is this? This memory gets bewildered. What bewilderment of the memory is happening, right? That is, you're perplexed and you're confused. The memory is confused, right? Bewilderment is that. So Smriti, memory is bewildered. So what actually happens in this case is not that you forget who you are. We do remember we are the superior, the most superior. We also remember what this person did to agitate us. What we forget is number one, our experience, the memory of our past experience. For example, I can get angry, I can pound my fist on this table and it's going to hurt my hand, right? But next time I'm angry, I will again pound my fist. And why will I do that? Because I have forgotten the past experience that if you pound your fist, it's surely going to hurt your hand. So you forget that, right? And bewilderment of memory will also make you forget, whatever you have learned, whatever you have read, and whatever you have heard from the scriptures or from the guru or from the sadhus. This is called bewilderment of memory. It's not that we forget that 2 plus 2 is 4. It's not that. It is this, the good part of the memory. That is what happens to us, right? So this selective, um, this selectively remembering things and selectively forgetting the things, right, is called Smriti Vibhamat. So what exactly does Smriti Vibhamat do? Even without the anger piece being in, this happens to us all the time in real world, other situations, normal situations also, right? So when we enjoy something or get something to enjoy, right? So at that point, for example, I want to, I'm getting this urge to eat ice cream, right? I'm getting this urge to eat ice cream, and there's this, my stomach is, completely constricted, and, it's like, I want it, I want it, I want ice cream. There's no ice cream at home. I have to go and get it. And then you are driving, and there's a red light, and there's like, oh, there's a red light here. And then you go there and you pick up your favorite flavor from the shelf, and then you go to pay the cashier, and there's a long line over there, right? So, or if you make ice cream at home, then like there are no mangoes, or I'm out of cream. So that craving is there, and you are waiting for that enjoyment. So before enjoyment, there is misery. There is misery of waiting, or the misery of the craving, which is there. That is there before. And then, of course, then there is the process of enjoyment. This is the ice cream you enjoy, whatever you're enjoying. That process is there. And then, of course, there is, the after effect. If you indulge, not just having one small cup of ice cream, we need 6 cups, because senses are so powerful. You don't even know when we finish all of it, right? So in the end, so these are, in the beginning, there is misery. In the middle, there is some enjoyment. And in the end, there is again some misery. So when your smriti is vibhamat, when your intelligence is bewildered, all that the intelligence will remember is the middle part. It will not remember that, hey, you trying to do the same thing again. Remember the traffic light, remember, the drive, remember the long queue, remember the nasty cashier. No, you will forget that. All that you will remember through the bewildered memory is the enjoyment. It was very good. And then afterwards, you hurt your stomach, you had a cold, your blood sugar went up, your cholesterol went up, and you don't remember that. That is known as vibhamat. It happens to us all the time, right? So then, when your memory is bewildered, then is verse is saying that after that, buddhi nashat. Buddhi nasha means intelligence is lost. What is the opposite of an intelligent person? Please use your notepads and tell me. Intelligent person, opposite of an intelligent person will be ignorant. Intelligent, opposite. He's a very intelligent child, or she's a very intelligent child. In contrast to that, what other kind of children you have? Intelligent versus stupid. Yes, I was looking for that word. Thank you, Garima, for giving that. Yeah, you are. So this leads to stupefaction. We become stupid. We will do stupid actions, right? Why? Because what does the intelligence do? Can you write down and tell me what is the job of intelligence? What is the purpose of intelligence? What does intelligence do? What's the duty, aim, purpose of having intelligence? What does it do? And Archana says to discriminate between the right and wrong, and that's the right answer. Okay. So intelligence has to discriminate that this is right and this is wrong. Now, how will intelligence know that this is the right thing and that is the wrong thing? It needs data, right? And that's why we have got big companies that are paying millions of dollars on data analysis, right? We have data lakes, data warehouses, big data, all artificial intelligence, data mining. We do all those kinds of things. And why are we doing that? To be able to make the right decision, right? Should I put the jeans in this side of the store or should I put it on that side of the store? Also required some data, right? So that data comes from memory, because the memory has to tell me that the enjoyment of the ice cream was preceded by the misery of attaining it. And after enjoying it, followed the misery of this, and this, like that, right? So if the intelligence is bewildered and not telling, if the memory is bewildered and is only giving you pieces here and there and not giving you the big picture, not the whole data, right? Your sample is a small sample, you won't make the right decisions. You won't be able to discriminate. You'll say, yeah, this is good. It tastes good. Must be good. Soul felt like that, right? So whatever, that whatever you have learned, right? Through Shastra, Shravanam, Kirtanam, like that, all that is completely gone. So, if the memory is gone, then subsequently the intelligence is also gone, right? So when the intelligence which was going to tell you, which was your engine, which was going to tell you that this is right and this is wrong, when that intelligence is already gone bonkers, then what's going to happen? You'll end up doing the wrong thing. And when you do the wrong thing, that is known as the fall down. That is pranashyati. One falls down, his own destruction, right? And in our case, what will happen is, our case, the fall down means that we will go back to doing material enjoyment. Okay. So it starts it in the beginning. It started in the beginning with something very simple. I'm just contemplating Vishayan, Dhyato Vishayan Pumsa. I'm just thinking it's a harmless thing. I'm sitting in my room and I'm thinking, no, it is not harmless. Because after contemplation, you'll get attracted and then obsessed with possessing that thing and enjoying it. You could even get irritated or angry when you don't get it. And then you will have illusion of the memory, memory is lost, memory is gone. Then you become, as Garima Mataji pointed out, stupid, and you make the wrong decisions, and then you destroy ourselves. And that is why in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is emphasizing. Krishna is emphasizing that what you should do is you should put your mind on me, put your mind and your intelligence in me. And what is going to happen is that by repetition and by repeating the same thing over and over and over again, it'll etch deeper, make deeper impressions in your memory. And so can you tell me something that you repeat over and over and over again? Can somebody type it out to me and tell me, what do you do? Over and over and over, again and again, again and again, again and again. I like that. Yes, we do mistakes over and over again. Yes, we do that. On a good front, tell me what you do over and over again. On the good side, the good part. Everyone, yes. Sukumal Radhe Mataji says that we chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So you will, when you repeat it over and over and again, it will start to have its impression in me, right? So, and the impressions will start forming on my mind. So now here's a very interesting thing, that when we say that my memory has been deluded, right? There we have to understand that there are two aspects of the memory, how memory operates, right? One aspect is that you store the data storage part of it, right? Now, does it happen that we sit down and we memorize shlokas? And I know a shloka on anger, I know a shloka on patience, I know a shloka on spiritual master, I know a shloka on service, I know a shloka on hearing. I memorize all this. And I'm at home and they are perfect. And I recite them and everything is good, right? And then I come to the class and the teacher says, "Can you tell me a shloka on anger?" And it's like, oh, yeah. I remember it, but it's not coming right now. So, with memory, there are two parts to the memory. The first part is storage, and the other part is retrieval. So, storage can come from repetition, from rote. Small kids do that, right? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. They repeat and they know it, right? Like that, right? And but then the child comes and the parents tell their friends that, oh yeah, you see this little Shnicky, he has to memorize the whole alphabet, and you say, Shnicky, please come and recite the alphabet, and then Shnicky's like, Shnicky won't say anything. Right? Shnicky can't remember. So what happens there, right? That is where our favorite 15.15 comes into picture. Sarvasya chaham hidi sannivishto matta smritirgyanam apohanam cha vedescha sarve rahamev vedyo vedanta krit veda videv chaham. So he says, from me comes remembrance and from me comes forgetfulness. So we have to remember that we can memorize certain things, but you need a Krishna by your side. You need um, Krishna's help, so that you can recall. So there is a storage of data, but then you should also know how to recall the data. And then again, companies make millions of dollars trying to create systems that can retrieve data in a very short period of time, right? They know where, one is to know where it is stored, right? And then to bring it out very, very quickly, like that, right? You go to the internet, right? And you search for some word, and it comes back and tells you 1 million hits found. That's how fast it is. It has found that out, right? I mean, of course, there are some other mechanisms also that they use, but it's pretty fast. It's very, very extremely fast these days, especially like that. So the retrieval, of course, the fast, and that is how sometimes you will suddenly remember things, and your Krishna will help you remember things that happened 4 decades ago. It comes flashing by in your eyes. How fast? So our memory works even faster than the memory of the computer in so many other ways, right? Without thinking about the consequences of having too much of hardware over here, right? So I am here. I'm also like a computer, and like the memory is the mind of a computer. I am also a computer. I have also got a memory, and Krishna helps me to retrieve that information at the right place and the right time, or also to forget that information at the right place and at the right time, like that. Okay. So recollection, sometimes also you can do recollection through a mechanical way, and that's one of the ways people also memorize shlokas. For example, um, I meet somebody, and ladies do that a lot. They will connect incidences with other incidences. For example, they will say, "Oh, the year that COVID, we had the COVID. That was the year I gave birth to Gopal. Right, so they have connected that the year they gave birth to Gopal, they remember it was their son, and then of course that year was also COVID. So those kind of connections are also there, and people can also make connections if you want to go from point A to point B. You don't remember, but you remember something else which comes in between. Oh, it's on the way to my office. So or you know how to go there. Okay, from there you can go. So people keep on making connections to bring the memory. But we have to remember that everything can fail. You can make all those connections and you can say, oh, I remember COVID. There was COVID at that time, and then don't know which one of your sons was born, right? So Krishna is the ultimate. He's the ultimate controller. He's the ultimate one who gives all kinds of energies to him over there, right? So now, uh, does Krishna give energy and gives you memory, not energy, gives you memory and makes you forget? And is he partial? No, he says sammoham sarvabhuteshu name deshu sina priya, right? So he says I'm equal to everybody. So subtly in your mind there is also a desire to retain something more, and there's a desire to retain something else more. So depending on those subtle desires also there, because remember, what is Krishna doing? He's the Updrishta Anumanta, right? So if you have a very strong desire to eat ice cream, he will make you forget the first part and the third part of eating an ice cream. He'll do that, right? So one thing very also of interest that we should keep in mind is that I had asked this question when we were doing modes of the divisions of faith, and we were talking about the food, right? And I had asked you all a question that what is ice cream? Because it said that food in the mode of passion is dear to those who are in the mode of passion, and food in the mode of ignorance is dear to those in the mode of ignorance, and will not be dear to those who are in the mode of passion. And similarly, food in the mode of goodness will not be palatable for those who are in the mode of ignorance. For example, if you give them, hing and jeera sabzi, they will say, "Where is the onion and garlic? Ooh, this is bad. There's no taste. Where's the flavor?" Somebody in ignorance will say that, right? But where is ice cream? Everybody seems to like ice cream. So where is it? Where does it fall? Mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance, right? So we have to see that items can fall into different categories depending on where you are and what your life situation is. And what I mean by that is that when we were reading, about food which are in the mode of goodness, they said they are juicy, fatty, wholesome, fulfilling. And it also said that they increase the duration of life. So when a person in the mode of goodness picks up any object to eat, then he will ask these questions. Is it good? Will it increase the duration of life? He'll ask that question because he wants to increase the duration of life, because by such a rare chance, he's got a human body, he or she, and he wants to extend it and stay here and not go into the womb again, and utilize it for serving Krishna. So he'll ask this question, right? And when the answer comes, then he will make his decision whether he should eat it or not. And if he has to eat it, then how much? Yukta ahara viharasya, right? So he has to make a balanced thing. So a thing can go into the mode of passion to also depending on, it's a good thing for one and it's a bad thing for another, like that. If the doctor has told you, look here, buddy, you have got high cholesterol, you stay away from ice cream, then you eat it. The same ice cream becomes in the mode of ignorance for you. So you're acting in the mode of ignorance. So we have to keep that in our mind, right? That what is applicable to you, um, varies from according to the time, according to the place, and according to the circumstance. So if you have got this desire and you're going into that mode of ignorance and you really want to eat the ice cream, then Krishna will make you forget what happens. The doctor's advice, you'll forget that. It will not retrieve that information for you. So Krishna does the retrieval part. And when that retrieval mechanism is gone bonkers, then the intelligence is gone bonkers, and then we fall down. And only a pure devotee can bring you back up there. So we are coming close to the top of the hour. So let's use this time to do some reflections. And I'm going to allow you to unmute yourself. But if you have any questions or comments, please raise your hand. That helps me prioritize the questions. I'll go from left to the right for hands raised. Okay. So there's one hand raised that I see right now, and that is Sutapa Mataji. And then I'm going to allow her to unmute herself. Okay. Go ahead, Sutapa Mataji, ask your question. And then
Hare
Archana.
Krishna
Okay.
Mataji,
For some reason
Dandavat
now Archana
Pranam.
jumped to the first. That's how
Yeah,
it goes. Okay.
Mataji, I
So Sutapa
liked
Mataji,
that
please
point.
unmute yourself.
Yes, Mataji, I already, yeah.
Go ahead, ask your
Uh,
question, please.
yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji. I like that point that anger is a wasted emotion. We never, means actually, I never thought it that way. So I like that point so much. But still, we will forget again when everything, when something is come, and then we'll forget again that we should not be angry.
Should not be
Anger
angry.
will come again.
Yeah. Anger is good only when it is utilized in the service of the Lord. And that also, we should not make it a habit that, oh, anger can be utilized in the service of the Lord. Like Hanuman was so angry. Hanuman ki poonch mein lagan na pai aag, Lanka sigri jal gayi, gaye nishachar bhag. So it says that this verse actually teaches you about hyperbole. So it says that no sooner that they put Hanuman's tail on fire, that the whole of the Lanka city started to burn and all the demons ran away. Rakshasas ran away from there. So it's a hyperbole because, as soon as his tail caught fire, the whole Lanka was not burned down, right? It takes some time for him to jump from one place to other place. But about this verse is telling you about his anger. He got angry that they put his tail on fire and he burned down the whole Lanka. And he was doing it because, they were insulting Sita. And so he used anger in the service of the Lord, but we should not necessarily make it a habit to do that. So for us, yes, it's a wasted emotion. It only affects us to a large degree. Yeah. Archana Mataji.
Mataji, I also have another question, but I will wait today.
Okay.
Let other devotees speak.
Thank you. That's a good thing. You already get 500 Sukriti points from Krishna for doing that. Okay, Archana Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you so much for such a wonderful discourse on anger management today, Mataji. We have done anger management everywhere. So many sites are there who which teaches us how you can control your anger. But Srimad Bhagavad Gita is the best. If you really want to surpass your anger, you need to just go through the verses from 60 to 63 verses are enough to make you understand like how the anger arises in a person.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, Mataji. And Mataji, can I share something actually? I still remember you used to tell us when you try to tolerate a condition, situation, then it increases your spiritual blood, Chitta Rakta, right, Mataji? So,
It strengthens your tolerance muscle. We start with having no muscles. Sometimes we have to build the muscle, and if the muscles are there, it strengthens the muscles. Yes. Yes, good point. Mart sparshaastu kaunteya. Mart sparshaastu kaunteya. Sitoshun sukha dukkada. Agam apaniyo anityastam titikshasva bharata. So Krishna says that these miseries and the joys that they come in your life, they are just because of the senses, your sense organs, touch the matras. You remember we were talking about the tan matras on Saturday? They go and touch the objects, the subtle objects, hearing, sight, right? They go and touch that. And it's just because of that that you feel Sita Ushnu, heat and cold, etc. But you just learn to tolerate because they will go away. And the important thing to note is both will go away, the good and the bad, both. The happiness will also go away. So don't get too attached to the happy situation. Also be stable there, to knowing that that is also going to end.
yes, Mataji. So I keep this in mind. Like this is very important point which you mentioned always. Like any situation arises, you need to keep calm and try to tolerate that situation, no matter how bad it is. So Mataji, I have been trying to do that for past, some months, or you can say like that. So, like if a situation arises when someone is trying to agitate me, So like in anger, generally what happens, your body trembles, you feel shaky, your heart rate increases. But Mataji, I want to share you this thing. When I try to control, I mean tolerate that situation, no, I'll tell you, my heart still, the heartbeat, I mean my heart palpitates, and I feel lump in my throat, and I feel hot. But after some time, when the situation gets over, completely wipes off from my memory, and I really feel very calm and relaxed. Instead of feeling very restless and turbulent, my mind feels very calm, and everything becomes okay. I mean, if you try to control that speck of that particular situation, no, it really helps. So I just wanted to share that. So thank you so much for telling us how you can control, I mean, tolerate in worst of the situations in your life. So thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah, and this is really a very important point. And the calmness is coming because at that point, intelligence and the soul have won the battle over the mind, because the mind was creating and generating all these thoughts, the angry thoughts for you, and then the soul decided that I'm not going to act on them, and then the lump on the throat came, and you had to struggle to keep the lump down, but you did do it. Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Shruti. Unmute yourself first.
Yes, Mataji, thank you for this session. This was really helpful. In fact, I was reading this about this verse over the weekend for Bhakti Shastri exam.
Oh, yeah.
So you broke it up so nicely.
Wow, thanks to what I
Uh,
learned from the Bhakti Shastri teachers. That's why I'm speaking, and Krishna is bringing the memory at the right time. So thank you, Krishna. Also, yeah, thank you. And is that
so,
yeah, sorry, go ahead. Yeah, yeah.
Mataji, so you mentioned about anger. When we feel angry, we should write it down,
Mhm.
write down, and get our anger out on the paper, right? So I have also heard about the law of action and reaction. Even thinking bad or doing, I mean, speaking and if let it be known to the others is bad. But writing down or even thinking is, I have been told that it brings about karma. So is that right, Mataji?
No, not in Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga, the bar is very low, very, very low, right? So in Satyuga, even thinking of doing something wrong is considered as you have done the action. But in Kali Yuga, thinking is allowed, because we we are pretty wretched souls actually in Kali Yuga, and our mind is completely disturbed, right? So it's okay, because worse is to suppress it and then do it. In any case, the better is to just write it down, and slowly, because you're a devotee, right? So you will not say that such and such a person did this to me, and then I took out a knife and I killed him, and now I'm disposing his body. We don't think like that, right? We will just say that, we'll write it down, that such and such a person spoke such words to me. I am feeling hurt because of this. The moment you write it down, then I'm feeling hurt, the hurt will go away. Or I'm feeling very angry at that, the anger will go away, like that. So a devotee writes differently, and the writing will be refined. Over a period of time, it'll get refined, and again practice over and over, over and over, over and over again and again, right? And anger can be controlled, and it does go away with, of course, with doing devotional service. It also goes away with age. That's one good thing of being old. Otherwise your body gives you a lot of grief. There's one good thing about old is that you have a little bit more control. And why? Because the experiences are more in your head, that what happened when I was angry, it was never good, never ever good. So now we get a little bit of wisdom when we do that. So I have just 1 minute, so I'll be only able to take one question. And I saw Sukumal Radhimataji sort of raise her hands. I don't know whether that was a hand raise or whether that was a question. And if not, then we'll call it a day here.
Oh, it's okay. I can ask you on Thursday. It's okay if you're in a rush.
No, I'll take that question. I'll take yours.
Okay.
You can take yours. Yeah, go ahead.
So
Yeah.
you were talking about memory, Shraddha Mataji, the sustenance and then the retrieval. So let's say if you like a certain verse and you try to memorize it, and then you know the meaning of it and you know the purport and everything, but you are not that advanced that when you are talking about it, like in a class, you're able to retrieve it. But that is not the same as forgetfulness, right? If at that moment you're not able to retrieve it. So does that mean that even though you know the verse, but you're not able to retrieve it at a certain point, is it that it's the forgetfulness that
Yeah,
you're having, or you don't know that?
that is forgetfulness, right? I knew it, but now it's not coming to me. I've forgotten what I remembered. And so it's very interesting that a person can memorize words, and memorization of verses can lead to many things. It can lead to ego a lot.
No, but the knowledge may not be there to, you may be able to retrieve it, but you don't know when to use it and retrieve it and use it in that
Krishna will
context.
give that, right? That's what I'm saying. Krishna will give that to you. And that's why we say that when somebody is giving Krishna Katha, like when I'm talking here, I might prepare a little bit for the class, but then which words to speak at which time, that really
Hmm.
Krishna says. And that's why sometimes I say, I get disturbed, right, in the class. And then I say, I lost my thought, because it was actually
Yeah.
not my thought. The connection got disconnected from Krishna. So that's
Yeah.
how Katha always comes from Krishna. Yeah.
Okay.
So when we are in that mood, so the more we go through Nada Pisunichina, the more we go into that mood that I don't know nothing, then Krishna will help you. If you go to the class saying like, I don't even need Krishna, of course I memorized everything. I know which verse to quote against which incidents and which reference, then we
Hmm.
will forget. And Vaisheshika Prabhu always talks about, he says, I won't tell the names, I don't know the name, but he always says that this person was known to be a very big priest and there was this big occasion in Vrindavan and he forgot the prasadam prayers. It just won't come. So can you believe that? It can happen. So always
Hmm.
humility, humility, humility is
Hmm.
very important. With that, everything comes. In devotional service, it's different. Yeah. And actually, with devotional service, knowledge comes as and detachment comes as a concomitant factor. They will come on their own like that.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Shraddha ma'am.
Thank you. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha gopremanande hari hari bo.
Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you,
Have a
Mataji.
fantastic rest of the day.
Bye.
Don't be angry.
Everybody.